Bam.
Hey, this is Susie Singer Carter, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
Hell yeah. Hey, you were on before and we were talking about your project, No Country for Old People. Thanks for telling this story. It's you could make this movie 10 more different ways and talk about just how hard it is to guide our parents, our grandparents through the end of life stages. It's not easy business. So thanks for doing this. Thank you for bearing all of it. You know, the ugly days and everything else that comes with it. It's not easy work.
Thank you for acknowledging that. It isn't easy work. I think about it now that we're done with the actual production of it, and working our way to the streaming of it, as you know, in August 1st, as it
Right.
were. And I think now I have a chance to take a breath and go, oh my gosh, like I've been
Mm.
living in this for the past 3 years, and it didn't end with my mom's journey. It just continued, and I was reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. So it really obviously just solidifies how bad everything is and how much we need to educate everybody to really inform everyone before they're in the crisis of it and before it happens to them, because it will.
It will. It will. Yeah, we don't. One of the things that I've learned about all this is we don't know the outcomes. And my special someone and I are thinking about traveling a lot more. So I talked to a lot of the parent age people in my life, and they were saying, yeah, we had a window about this wide, and it's not a long window where
Yeah.
we could reliably travel, and then it just became too much because these numbers are crazy. I'm 55. I don't know how old you are. You're probably younger than me, but um, and from the age like 63 onward, most adults don't have a healthy year anymore. They're always battling something, so that degradation hits real fast in your 60s. It's
It
crazy.
does. It does. Just an anecdote, anecdotally. I've been at the dentist, going through from one thing to another. Like, always was so proud of my teeth. Like, oh, I have the greatest. I can, break a bottle with it, whatever. And it's like my dentist told me we were, our teeth were meant to live 40 years. That's it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and after that, it's like it's all downhill. Like, you're lucky, if someone has their teeth by the time they're in their 70s, you're a lucky puppy, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we're just not you know we can we can we can extend our lives, but now what does that mean? Like, what does that mean in terms of quality of life, right?
Yeah. 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 That quality of life thing is huge. And it's easy to talk about it between you and I. And we have a lot of, even without having a lot of face to face interaction, we also know that like there are some groups of people that are like, hey, once I reach this point, quality of life is done. I would like to depart. And that's part of the planning that we owe our kids, that ability to say, this is how I want you to help me when I can no longer help myself, or as I start to lose capacity, this is where we're going to stop. So everybody understands what quality of life is for that person. And for those who like don't want to do any of that and they want to forestall, 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 they
Uh-huh.
get to, right? But you
Absolutely.
have to think ahead to do
You
this.
you have to think ahead, and most of us, I'm guilty, is la 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 la.
Hmm.
It's not easy to think about. It's not, it is adulting, extreme, and
Yeah.
you really need to. I don't know anybody that's comfy cozy talking about, end of life situations for anything. I didn't want to hear about it from my mom. It was constantly, Mom, stop talking about that. Stop it. Stop it. It's not happening.
Right.
Not happening soon. And then I always say, make this reference to, This Is 40, the movie. Yeah, and it's like, and the grandma says, blink and you're 90, and
Yeah.
it's true. Blink and you are 90.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna put the sizzle reel here in the notes down below for everybody who wants to watch it. I'll put the link for the Amazon show that's coming out again August 1st. Everybody, this thing debuts, and you really, if you have folks, if you are going to be someone's folks, you have to watch this so you understand the challenges. And in this world, it's very complex and it's easy to blame other people, but really, Pete believes it all starts with us and how we want to approach this last phase of our life. And it is uncomfortable to talk about, but you don't get to escape it. And I hate to say this because this is so hard to talk about, but sometimes that person that drops dead from a widowmaker at 62 is fortunate because they don't have to endure the hard decline and don't have to put their kids through these things. And by the way, everybody, this tears families apart. I mean, forget
Yeah.
your finances. Of course, those are going to be stretched to their limit and probably beyond. But families break up over this stuff, and that's not what I want for my daughter. I want her to not have to deal with all that and lose all the things that we've built over our lives.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, it is, there's so much collateral damage
Mm.
with this kind of situation. And I feel like I have literally experienced everything that you're talking about. I am estranged from my only sibling now.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and it's exactly why, because, sometimes people have different perspectives, and people can't deal with it, and they can't, and there becomes a lot of paranoia, and then money is involved, and when money is involved, forget about it.
Right.
And it's just, there's nothing good about it. And yet what I've learned as putting my big girl pants on is that there's nothing more beautiful than escorting someone that you love through this transition to the
Yeah.
to and that is so rewarding, and it should be and could be a beautiful moment and stage where you are really doing what families do, what communities do, what tribes do, is to escort the people that you revere and love, and for your own sake, to learn. Oh, I said to my mom the night before she died, Mommy, you taught me how to live, and now you're teaching me how to die.
Yeah.
And that is a gift.
Yeah,
That
it is. It's
it gives me the chills just saying it, because I swear to God, like literally down my legs. I mean,
yeah.
it's powerful, and it's true. I'm not trying to be, throw out some trite, word or quote or whatever, but it is the truth. There was no one more afraid of dying or afraid of losing their mommy. And I have children, and I have people I adore, but nobody wants to lose their mommy. I don't care how old you are, they're your mommy. If you have a good relationship with them. And but someone told me, one of my interviewees on my podcast said to me, when you get there, I just know it, Susie, you are going to be so blessed, and you will come out on the other side with a different perspective. And I was like, she's crazy. It's
Yeah.
never going to happen, but it does. So, but we should be getting back to nursing homes and long-term care. We need to be given that opportunity where we're not fighting a war,
Yeah.
and that our cortisol is off the charts, and that we're not sleeping,
Oh,
and that your loved one is suffering,
yeah.
suffering, that they shouldn't be suffering. That
Yeah.
you're suddenly, all you care about is like, wow, it's like pushing you to the point where you're going, my God, just die, because you're suffering so bad and I can't save you. That's not the way it should be.
That's why I left the gap there, because it's so heavy, but it's true. When there is no answer other than continuing to suffer, it's awful. And again, like, sometimes it's an institution's fault, sometimes it's a bad employee, sometimes it's a bad sister, or it can be a lot of things that create these outcomes. And it's just, so the thing that I've learned a lot of is just to be gracious. I think the most awful things about the person that we care for at times, because it's so hard to deal with it. And that's my initial response, right? And then my adult brain kicks in, and it's like, calm the hell down. This is not that hard. You can do this. And hard in terms of like time, and you can be patient with this person.
Yes.
And it's the grace that you have to. Oh,
You
yeah.
got to be present,
Yeah.
and my mom had Alzheimer's. So one of the things, the big takeaway I tell people, my podcast is about Alzheimer's. And I tell people that is the greatest lesson in living a Zen life, because you must live in the present. You cannot live in the past. You can't say, oh, don't you remember, Mommy? Don't you remember? And you can't say, well, I'll be back tomorrow, because they're not going to remember that. You
Right.
have to live in the present. And really, the ultimate goal for everybody is to live in the present, because it's all we have is now. You and me, Pete, right now. This is what we have.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't get mad at the person. You can be
Yep.
mad at the disease,
Yep.
even though you're going to want to, depending on the kind of how your loved one presents that disease. They may be sweet as pie, and they may be just mean and nasty,
Hmm.
and it falls on us. By the way, in the adulting book, these chapters, they're just now being written
They're
on
not
how to
being.
maybe do it.
No, it's like, listen, I do draw a lot of correlation between when children and people and our elders, and not in a way of infantilizing them, but in a way of saying
Yeah.
how, talking about ageism and ableism, right? So we give so much grace to babies who don't do anything. They poop their pants, they pee their pants, they cry, they don't really have language, right?
Hmm.
But no one says, well, they can't talk, so why talk to them? No, we talk to them. They understand. They can laugh. They feel safe and happy, or they're miserable or not.
Yeah.
They'll tell you if they're in pain. They'll tell you if they're happy. They'll tell you if they're tired. That's what people do that lose their language when they're older. They're still there, and they still deserve all of our
Yes.
respect and dignity as we give to children. And I do think that, okay, maybe they're not as rosy cheeked and adorable as a little baby. However, look at who they are. Look at this legacy that is that person, and try to look at them with those those eyes. Remember that we're all that baby at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. That whole thing is, as they regress and they start peeing and pooping their pants, and you're dealing with the filth that humans create, that stuff's almost kind of adorable and easy. It's the yeah, man, it's the emotions, all the different kinds of guilt that I've discovered. How about the guilt from not feeling guilty when you leave to just go get a break from doing that, and then you feel guilty about that? It's just so crazy.
yeah. I mean, I think that we do a lot of at leasts. The at least I, and at least she, and at least they. So
Mhm.
and those help us. But when getting back to the documentary, when those at leasts start taking precedence in the
Yeah.
in your healthcare system, that doesn't fly. So when a doctor or a nurse, or the head of the facility says to you, well, at least they've lived 85 years,
Yeah.
so at least they've done that. No, they don't have the right to say that. This is
Right.
that person's life, and maybe that person at 85 has 15 more years, like like Dick Van Dyke, like Mel
Hmm.
Brooks, like people that are is still enjoying their life and actually wouldn't want to die unless they were suffering.
Right.
So
Right.
so you can't, certainly you can push somebody like they did with my mom into a state of suffering where my mom was probably like, get me the hell out of this life. I don't want to be here anymore. Whereas 4 months before, I would say, Mommy, how are you? And she'd say, I'm great. I'm alive. Life is good. The alternative sucks. But but at some point when you're suffering, you're going, no, bye bye. I'm done. But
Yeah.
you shouldn't be pushed there
Yeah. Yeah.
because of money, because money is the underlying, motivation.
I'm going to ask you a little bit of a tough question, and just because we've covered a lot of this stuff in the previous episode, and you and I are both doing, have done this stuff. So now that you've done this once, how would you approach it differently? Whether it's somebody else in your life, or if you had another shot with your mom, what would you do differently?
Well, goodness, I mean, Pete, I have so much more information now. So like,
Right.
I
Right.
really know the territory. I know that planet now. Before I was like, what planet am I on?
Right.
Now I know the planet. And so when I would say to them, I understand that you're understaffed. I understand that. And they say, no, we're not. We're not understaffed. Well, your staff is telling me that you're understaffed even. They're trying to do things that take two people, and they don't have that. They're
Right.
asking me to help. Nope, we're not understaffed. At that, I would know distinctly now, you're understaffed. You need to hire more people. And if you don't hire more people, these are the steps I'm going to take today. And I'm
Hmm.
going to go to this organization and this and this oversight. And I'm going to raise holy hell, because all those things that happen, like retaliation, like, you walk in and suddenly everyone's like, looks at you and looks away,
Hmm.
they know trouble's coming. And I'm a nice person. I don't yell. I don't call names. I don't say anything. I'm so respectful. I think I would be a little less respectful and care more about someone who's suffering, and understand that CNA is not the problem. That
Yeah.
CNA is trying to do, a certified nursing assistant, for everybody who doesn't know that,
Right.
is doing the best they can. Their workload is ridiculous because 95% of our facilities are understaffed,
Yeah.
chronically, purposefully. And so they're trying to do a job and actually care about a human being. And by the way, these aren't widgets where it's not like you're going, I got to wash its car today and give it a little oil and now it's good to go. No, these are people that need interaction. These are people that need to say, hello, Norma, how are you today? You look great. You know what? Yesterday I was talking to they need interaction. You can't go in and pull down their sheets, look under their hood, shine them up, give them some water, and say, and then shut the door. That's not living. And the term is called, these facilities are not institutions, they're homes, they're nursing homes. People are living there. So you're in their home. Remember that, and you have to say, this person's alive. They need human interaction. They need touch. They can't be, schlepped around, as my mom would say, pushed and shoved and this and that, It's when you watch the documentary, and I hope everybody does, because this is not my mom's story. This is every single one of our stories. You will see the kind of treatment. It's inhumane. And yet and listen, we're all culpable because we are ageists.
Right.
We have all been accustomed to saying, well, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in that situation, when I'm 80, and it's going to happen, like I said, in the blink of an eye, whether I like it or not, God willing. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Would you?
No. I mean,
do you? Yeah. I have a question for everybody listening, and you. Do you
Please.
feel much different than you did when you were 20 as a human being? Do you? I mean, yes, we're smarter. We have different, but inside, when you think of yourself, what do you feel? Like, for me, it's like, sometimes I'm that little girl, that's just, loving life and wants to put her tutu on and dance. And sometimes I'm playing big girl, and sometimes I'm playing writer director, and sometimes I play mommy, and, but I'm putting on all those things, but inside I'm still Susie. And I'm the girl, and we are always going to be like that. If you talk to people in their 90s and I say, I've asked so many people, how do you feel? Well, if I don't look in the mirror, I feel like I'm 25. I look in the mirror, I get scared. Who is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely done that. I've been, it's me.
Oh, God. It's not so bad. Get used to it.
Yeah. And don't look at your side profile of your whole body. You do not want to see that.
Not do a downward dog naked. I just discovered that.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, it's not pretty.
It's true. It used to be like sexy to have naked Sunday or something. Now you're like, I'm not going to subject anybody to it.
No. Give me a nice, like a onesie, like that sucks all in. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Listen, it's okay. But honestly, inside.
Yeah.
And I'm very active. I'm a grandma now. And so I am, I dance hip hop. I'm dance hip hop next to people that are probably a third my age. And then and then there's other people that are older than me who are rocking it. And I mean, I'm good. I'm good. I'm saying I'm good. And when I'm dancing and everything, I forget. I have no idea how old I am. All I know is I'm rocking it. I'm crushing it. I'm doing it and I'm enjoying it. If I can do that when I'm 90, hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Right. I mean, Dick Van Dyke, another guy, maybe he only can dance that jig on stage that one time for 30 seconds, but this is a man deep into his 90s who does that, right?
And doesn't want to die. If you ask him,
doesn't want to die. Right.
Doesn't want to die in love and life. Has a gorgeous young wife. Hello,
Exactly. The the care facilities, right? This is how hard all this stuff is. If you're a parent or yourself, whatever, if you get diagnosed with Alzheimer's, with dementia, with anything in that zone, you can't go to assisted living. That day is over. And once they know that, to protect you, to protect the corporation, you've got to go to a what amounts to a
Memory
locked
care.
facility. Yeah, you got to go to, and they say memory care, but I'm going to say what it really is: a locked facility that you can no longer leave on your own. You've lost all agency because of the condition that you have. And so I tell my
I
friends, like,
wonder
if
why people there are agitated and why they
yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
is
yeah.
it locked in a
And
room.
also, by the way, on the other side, on the horrible flip side is for many of them, taking them out of that facility is too much, and it agitates them. And so you're in this conundrum of I want to care for this loved one, but it's so hard on them and me, but forget me, that you don't know what to do.
Because we're not set up for it. We have science that allows people to live a long life, right? So the
Mhm.
science is there. And then we forget about these other things that we haven't conquered yet, like cognitive decline, like dementias of all kinds.
Right.
And we haven't learned, I have, as you know, I did a short film about Alzheimer's with Valerie Harper, and I wanted to show a different side to it. I called it a joyous look at Alzheimer's. And I didn't mean that in a way of like diminishing how bad it can be, but I wanted to show that there are joys and ways that I learned, because I made every mistake in the book, on how
Sure.
to
Same.
deal with my mom and make it a joyous experience, right? Knowing the disease, as we do when someone becomes a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, we learn how to live with that disability, and we must learn how to live with cognitive disabilities. Otherwise, let's just give them a pill and say bye-bye. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're torturing them. Because when you put somebody, and I did it, I'm talking from experience. My mom was in a memory care facility in Los Angeles with all memory care. It is not a life. It is not a life. And there can be a life. From all of the experts that I have interviewed, it can be a life. It can be a lovely life if we learn the disease and understand it, but we're afraid of it and we don't take the time to learn it. If you try to get out a door and it's locked and you want to go outside, how are you going to feel? My mom would, whether she could talk or not, which she could talk all the way till almost to the very end, she would say, "Here, what is this? What is going
Right.
on here? Get me the hell out of here now, right?" And you can understand that. And when you can't talk anymore and someone grabs you because they're rushing, because you're incontinent and they want to clean you up, but they got another person sitting on a toilet and they got to run there and they're rough with you and you can't talk. So you're like, and they're like, "Oh, she's mean. Let's give her some antipsychotics." And now you've got zombies in chairs like this because that's easier. Well, now you're just warehousing people. Sorry, but that's what it is.
There's a lot of warehousing, and I don't know what the answer is for that, but you're right. You see a lot of that where people are just slumped over for whatever reason. Maybe that is the stage that they're in, and they're in the human blob stage, but it certainly is not something that you want to pay a premium for. It's
Can
certainly
I?
not.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go
I
ahead.
was going to say something about the blob stage. I call it the gray lump. There is no gray lump stage. That if you're in that stage, you're in a coma. You are close to death. But if you see people day after day sitting up in a chair, not sitting up, but this,
Yeah,
that's that is not part of natural life. That is being medicated. That is being over medicated. And that is a result of being understaffed. And that is a result of greed.
yeah. One thing that we've learned is when there's erratic behavior or a severe drop off in physical capacity. And look, I'm not talking about trending down. I'm talking like, whoa, what's going on here? We will be the ones, and the facility that we have is fantastic, right? Like, even though it's great, they just you can't. It's too big of a job, and so we'll say, "Have you guys tested so and so for a urinary tract infection?" And they're like, "Oh, should we do that?" Like, if I know this, I know they know, right?
Right.
But yeah, and
I
it's
that's yeah. I have a ton of I could tell you like 10 more stories exactly that happened with me just like that. And you're like,
yeah,
how, like, how I walked in and would see, something at a certain level that it shouldn't be at a level for my mom. And they go, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Well, I'm pretty sure. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure I remember. I mean, I think it's supposed to be at 60, but it says 85. Like, what's going on?" "Oh, you're right."
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
Common to have that happen.
It's so
Yeah.
common, folks. And you think about it, I said it in my documentary, I say it all the time, is that, can you imagine those who don't have caregivers or people that love them, who don't visit, who don't check in on them? This happens all the time, every minute of the day, right now, as we're talking.
Yeah.
And people are, like my mom, probably have pressure sores and they aren't being attended to, and the pain is excruciating, and they're thirsty, and someone just dropped the water off, over here, but they can't reach it because they can't get up, but they dropped the water off.
Yeah.
So, and they're so thirsty, they're so dehydrated that they get these UTIs. And then that turns into sepsis. And then they say, well, she's old. And now let's put her in hospice, and let's just call it a day.
Right. Yeah.
But and if you have that philosophy, if that's your philosophy, if you say, I've talked to friends my age, it's like, when I get that age, I'm going to take a pill because I don't want to live like that. Maybe you don't. Maybe other people want to live. Maybe they want to live to see their grandchild get married, or they have things they want to share. They want to finish a book that's so important, because story is everything. Yeah. And maybe they have a lot to give the world still. And we should honor that. Otherwise, can we please redo how we look at life? Can we please revisit that? Because I have a problem with warehousing people.
Yeah, this is Susie Singer Carter. She's a filmmaker. She does all kinds of incredible things. But in this case, we're talking about No Country for Old People. It's going to debut on Amazon and other platforms on the 1st of August. Best way to find that right now, I'll just put the link up here for Susie's site so you guys can see it, because all of her work is there. So that's there down below. But also go to YouTube and check out her podcast, which is right here. Oh, wait, hold on. That's the thing. But right there, and that's the Love Conquers Alls, right? And so that's where she does a lot of this kind of talking about all of these things. And so when you walk into the facility, there are hallmarks of how they're doing on keeping up. It is common to smell human waste when you go into these places. It is common for them to catch a stomach bug, all of them. And then it's crisis mode, and there's ambulances, and this is part of this challenge of what do we do with these folks, and the next person that's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this and keep my job. It's so much work, and if you don't go check up and hold accountable, I would feel terrible, if we weren't able to go look in. But some people just simply can't do it. It's so hard to deal with. And then if your loved one is cantankerous and upset, which, by the way, and I'm going to set up here in a second, but I just want to say one thing. If you grew up in a foreign country and you don't eat the kind of food that's served, you will never again eat a meal that you like.
I remember it's always that, yeah. And wouldn't that make you miserable?
Furious. I'd be furious.
What if you looked in the mirror and your hair was out like this? What if you looked in the mirror and you weren't shaved and you normally shave? What if you, right? All those things make life, those little things make life what life is about. The little things, right? And can I say something about the responsibility of this stage of life? Most of us have paid into Medicare and Medicaid. And so when you run out of money and you're at that stage, like my mom had a very nice nest egg. She worked very hard and did as all people do, most people do. And you accrue a certain amount of insurance, as it were. And when you are now wanting to take advantage of your hard work and the money that you have put into and paid into, and then it's not going to you now, it's going to someone else to buy their home and buy their jet plane and to buy, their vacation spot in Aspen. This is what's going on. And so, all of these horrible things are happening. And also the horrible guilt and emotional roller coaster that you're going on, Pete, as a caregiver, right? Because you're feeling like it's a lot on you. And what if I'm not there? And what if someone else doesn't notice that she needs a UTI test? That shouldn't be, because these are professionals. These are people and these are there's a small list of things that they need to check on every day. And they promise you that. And that's why they open their doors. And that's why they make money. But instead, they have gamed the system. I want everyone to know that they've gamed the system, and this is why your loved one's not getting the care that they're supposed to get. They know better. I can't hear you.
That's because I was muted. Okay.
Okay.
You're right about all this stuff, and I always want to give grace to the folks who work there because they are trying their hardest. But here's
100%.
what folks have to understand: if you paid a caretaker who has responsibility for all these people, all these medications, all this cleaning, it's a lot of work. If you paid them $25 an hour, it's $220,000 a year to take care of your loved one, just one person, right? Obviously, you'd have a team of 3 people, and then nobody goes on vacation. So now, as soon as somebody goes on vacation, you have to have more money. So all of a sudden, it becomes $250,000 just to pay someone $25 an hour. And guess what? They don't get paid that much. Most of them don't get paid anywhere near that much.
No, they don't, especially in the facilities. And the
Yeah,
facilities, well, which is why there's been an enormous exodus of qualified people,
right.
caring people, vocational caregivers have left the industry and are leaving the industry because they don't want to work in it because it's too hard. It's called moral injury. And they are experiencing moral injury. So, now you're left with people who are doing this job as a side gig and they're not vested in it. And it's kind of got the ick factor
Yeah,
and it's an ooh factor, but it's extra bucks. So, and they bank on it because they can pay them minimum wage. And then the turnover, they bank on that too. They bank on all the wrong things, but the quality, what you should do in a kind of facility, home that this is,
right,
right? And
right.
you shouldn't have to carry that burden, Pete. You should be able to go in as son-in-law and go, oh, mommy, mother-in-law, you look terrific. How was your lunch? Delish? Oh, that sounds good. That's what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we're lucky where we're at. The facility is great, but that's luck and also availability. We didn't get in there right away, and we were in another place that was also very good. It's Orange County, though, right? I mean, like there's 17 Home Depots within 20 miles of me, and I'm not even exaggerating.
I love
So
Home Depot. What?
I know, right? Well, yeah. And if I don't like that, I can go to Lowe's. I guess the point I'm saying here is even at the good facilities, it's a honest to God, everybody, listen to me. It's a calling. If people that work in these places, the people who are the activity coordinators, if they're not like everybody and then excited all the time, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, you get it. Because, gosh, I hate to be. Here's what I've seen that I don't like. Right, and this is Pete being a dick and just judging people. Is when you sit there and you're like, "Hangman, all right, what's a letter? Anybody?" And there's no energy. You know, I just go back to my room and just turn on the TV and veg out is what I would do because it's not activity. It's
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 not.
filling time. Yeah,
It's not. When I would go to visit my mom was a singer. We all are big hams in our family, and I'd go there and I'd put on put on the my iPhone and
yeah,
crank some music that I know she liked, and we'd all sing along. And suddenly we have like 30 people around us, Maury, Susie's singing, come over here. You could be just like Barbara. I'm telling you,
mm,
Susie. And I was like, I know, right? Like you couldn't feel better about yourself. It doesn't matter. Like, how old are you? Is that your grandma? No, it's my mom, but thank you. It's like I loved being around them, and I loved bringing energy and life and bring my dogs and bring my children. And it felt good to me. It felt
yeah,
good. It didn't at first. It's
yeah,
scary, because we don't embrace our elder community. We just don't. We
yeah.
need to do it because it's natural. And
It is.
you're only being a judgment against your future self.
Yeah, yeah. You can say that again. Oh, because it's coming, right? I mean, and we don't get to pick. This is why everybody listen. You have to have wills and trusts. You have to get all this stuff laid out. There's a great book called Being Mortal by Dr. Atul Gawande, and he talks about all this stuff about what it's like to live in a facility, even assisted living. He
Yeah.
talks about how you plan for these things. He talks about how you ask the questions. Like I would say to Susie, if I was going to care for her, down the road, I would say, what's most important to you? What
Lip
worries you
liner.
the most?
Lip liner. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, but literally, it could be lip liner, right? Like it could be the simplest
My
thing.
daughters know the thing. I say, guys, what do I like? You like a good tank top and some lip liner. You got it. And I
Yeah,
like a passion fruit. And we have jokes about it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but those little things, honest to God, are important.
yeah,
We want to recognize ourselves. We want to recognize our life.
right,
I don't eat red meat. I don't want red meat on my plate. I just don't like.
yeah,
And why can't those are little things,
right.
not big things.
Yeah, but they're not available in the facility, and they'll do again. To be fair to them, they'll do their best to do their best, right? So, if you like an afternoon coffee and you want it to be hot, and that coffee urn is empty, it's easy for them to say, "Hey, we'll get to it later, hon," and then you know that you're going to forget about it. But you don't forget about it because you're just miserable because I just want a goddamn cup of coffee.
Exactly. And you may not remember if you have Alzheimer's why you're pissed off, but you're
Right?
pissed off. You're in a bad mood because
Yeah,
you didn't
yeah,
get your coffee.
yeah,
And you're right. All those habitual kind of things are part of your life. And
yeah,
if we don't address those, and I'm going to just keep saying it, it's warehousing people.
yeah,
And yes, your facility's good. And maybe, and there, that, which is, God bless you and God bless your mother-in-law for being in a good facility. But more often than not, you have owners who no one knows who the owners are. There's some,
right.
they're the great Oz, and we don't know who they are, but they're saying bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. And
Yeah,
the people that are the administrators are getting bonuses for keeping it under a certain amount of whatever the cap that they put on their expenditures, because they want to reap a lot of benefits. They want to line their pockets. And so in order to do that, they have to play with them. They have to play the rules. But all the other people don't really understand what's going on. They're just listening and saying, I don't want to lose my job.
right.
I don't want, and so, and I didn't know actually what was going on, but towards the end, I'm not stupid. I got the sense that people are under a lot of stress, and
Yeah,
I was thinking everybody one end and down the other. And when someone came in and was kind to my mom, I was practically in tears. And I'd say, and I would say, thank you so much for caring for her. Thank you
yeah,
so much for gently putting lotion on her. Thank you. Thank you for cleaning
yeah,
her face. Thank you. That's not, that's, that's, that breaks my heart.
yeah, yeah. Well, it also breaks my heart when your mom had to be pushed into another part of the facility that didn't even have air conditioning. This sounds bougie, but this is like if it's if it's if it's so hot, that kills people. That kills
You know,
old people who are frail.
I put that in my documentary. I was walking
Yeah,
in every day because it's in the San Fernando Valley, and
so it's a desert almost. Yeah,
and you've got windows, and the windows don't open, so you got this heat. You walk in, and it's like, poof,
yeah,
and there's my mom lying there like lethargic, sweating, staring at a wall because no one's in there talking to her, despite the fact that I put the huge sign on, please keep the music blaring. My mom
yeah,
loves music. It's quiet. The lights are off or they're on bright, or the fluorescent lights are just, so she's like, it's just, there's nothing good about it.
yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
good.
You know, different facilities, different rules, different ways of approaching the problem. But I've heard people tell me, my friends, one of them's like, yeah, no, leave your person here and then just don't call. It's easier if you do that. It disturbs them. Okay, that might be their approach, but I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I still love this person.
In no situation is that right.
Right.
In
I know.
no situation is that correct.
But you're not shocked to hear that. I know you're not.
You're not
Like,
what?
you're not shocked to hear that.
No, I'm not shocked to
facility.
hear that. I'm a little
Yeah.
shocked, to be honest with you. It still shocks me. I mean,
You're not
I
surprised. How about that? You're
not
shocked but not
surprised.
surprised. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. It's like, listen, one of our experts, Howard Gleckman, who's written so many books in about, this stage of life, and he's an expert in hospice and Medicare and Medicaid and all those things. And he said, we go in as children, as family members, to finally, we know we have to put our loved one into a facility because that's where they'll be safer. And that's the
Right.
truth. That's where they will be safer.
Yeah.
And yet you go in and you walk into this beautiful lobby, and it's beautiful. They got warm cookies out, and it's beautiful. They got people. There's music going. There's games. There's everything. You know, it looks terrific. And when in essence you're buying the lobby, is what he says. I'm quoting Howard. You're buying the lobby.
Yep.
But if you go behind the scrib, right? You go behind there, and you see this,
Mm-hmm.
and you see people going, nurse, 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 I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. Miss, when you're walking by and they're going, Miss Honey, can you take me to the bathroom? And you're like, oh my God, I really can't. I'm not allowed to, but I will find somebody to take you to the bathroom. And then the person says, just go in your bed, Harriet. We'll be there in a second to clean it. And then you're like, if you do deign to go behind the big door, but most of us don't, because it feels good to go, oh yeah, this place is gorgeous. Mom's going to have a great life. I did that in the beginning. I was like, I can sleep at night. My mom's in the greatest place. She's in a 5-star facility. There was a 3-year waiting list. I can sleep now.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. No, you can't. Yeah. I mean, like, you'll see the pool table. Like, wow, pool table. Like every other pool table in America. Yeah.
Right?
No one ever playing it, though.
Yeah,
the other thing, here's the other tip is try the food. Eat with your loved one there at the place and see how long you can stand it. I've eaten
Right?
at a lot of chow halls, and you just get sick of the same thing. And I'm like, even if the food is great, you're like, really, clams again? And you're like, clams? You're complaining about clams? Like, yes, we've had them 40 times this year. I'm just sick of clams, especially if you're from another country. But that's how we're like. It looks great, right? The veneer was great, and again, it's hard to cook for 50 people. And if your mom's a late sleeper inner, that's over. Nope,
Yeah.
you got to get up. Everybody gets up at 7:30. We get you
It's
prepped.
an
You get into
institution. It's an institution.
yeah,
It certainly is. And you
yeah.
know what? It does just think about this. It doesn't happen in nursery, right? Schools or preschools and you know, it doesn't happen there. If those things happened in those situations, everyone would be up in arms. But somehow babies get, you know, when you're in nursery school or you're in pre-care, you know, your child care, you know, these human beings get changed. These human beings get hydrated. These human beings get social interaction and love and respect. Why can't we do that on the other end of the spectrum? Why? Because we as a society don't look. We look at the children and say, hey, you're not treating our kids right. And you know, the news is there and everybody's up in arms and they're getting shut down and and they're losing their license and blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't happen that way for our elder community.
Look at that so-and-so. He's so cute. He's expressing himself. You know,
Yes.
like we love it. He's running around. He's creative.
He's a rascal. What a rascal.
Yeah, he's a rascal. He poured dirt on her head. Oh, it's so funny. You know, whatever it is, right?
He's going to be so great. What a, you know, that's just Jimmy. Right. And then it's like, oh, you know, on the other end of the spectrum, it's like, oh my God, that Jimmy, can we get him some, Haldol, please? Can we give him, right? Can we give him, stat. Yeah. And because they can't deal with it. And this is what's going on. I mean, I did a post last week about, there was an article in Market Watch, which is a financial, journal. And they're talking about the fact that based on, all the new kinds of laws and things coming down, that, there's going to be even more, less money available. Regulations for staffing minimums is out the door now. Forget about it. And now facilities are just openly and, abashedly, without any shame, saying we have to medicate these people. We can't take care of them all. So we have to do that in order to, so they won't die basically under our watch from falling or from whatever the case may be. So openly, before they would hide it and say, well, like my mom, they gave her Depakote. I didn't know until I thought that her Alzheimer's, 8 years before she died. I thought she went from like this strapping, healthy human being to, I don't want to do it again, but the lump. And so, and I was like, oh, my mom's Alzheimer's is progressing. She's probably going to die soon. And then her doctor called me and said, by the way, I just had a checkup with your mom. Did you know she's on a drug called Depakote? What? Huh? No. Oh yeah, it's actually an anti-seizure drug, but it's used in nursing homes. It's actually a black label box drug for people with dementia and elderly, which means
Yeah.
that they can die from it. And he said, "Would you like me to take her off of it?" And I said, "Yes, please." Well, she never walked again, and she was never continent again after that. But she did get quite a bit of her cognitive, ability back. But this is what happens.
Yeah. 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 And just for everybody, it's so hard to know what to do because you get recommended something and your loved one is hallucinating. Very common. They're having a tough time being calm because they get so riled up. And there is no answer, everybody. Like there's no amount of road trips, there's no amount of food. It just, they get in this locked in state because they're trying to solve a problem and there is no problem. There's no way to solve it. And so the disease is insidious and it just
I agree
takes
with
away
you.
these
Like
things.
my partner Don, who's my producing partner,
Yeah.
his mom has Parkinson's. She's in assisted living. And my mom didn't have hallucinations. My mom had
Hmm.
Alzheimer's, but she is having these hallucinations.
Yeah.
Right, and I was there last week visiting with her, and she'll be talking, and she'll go, "Oh, those bugs on my legs." She's got bugs on her legs,
Right.
and I and and it's very, and she knows that they're not there, but yet she sees them. So she's straddling that fence of
Yep.
going,
Yep.
or there's fish around her feet all the time. It's crazy. Like I've never
Right.
experienced that. And I tried to be in the moment with her and go, where are they? I want to see what you're talking about. Let me see those,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I say to her, and then I say, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but simply, where are her glasses? Why isn't she wearing her glasses? Because sometimes when your eyesight gets worse, you see things that aren't there, right? I'm not saying that's not part of the hallucination, but wouldn't it help
Right.
if they gave her glasses every day and said, "Here's your glasses, Mickey, put your glasses on"? She's not wearing her glasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be
Yeah.
scary.
I mean, imagine how you would feel if you didn't have access to your keys all day or your phone and how freaked out you would be. Just that alone is like unsettling for the person. And,
And
and, and the reason,
your
yeah,
glasses that like if you want to see something and you need reading glasses, you're going to put your glasses on because
yeah,
otherwise, like, I don't know, I can't see it.
yeah, right, right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And the reason why I bring up like the thing is like sometimes you do need the medicine, and that is a process. Like, oh, you know what? That's too much. Oop, that's not enough. We're going to change. All of this requires constant
I
monitoring.
forgot that was my where I was headed, and I got myself off in a tizzy. That was
No, but
exactly.
that's just, it's just that complicated. It's like there's
No,
all these off ramps all the
but
time to
it's
talk
true.
about stuff.
We were talking about that. And yes, Mickey does need something because
Right.
it is frightening to her to say
Oh,
there's
Lord,
little
yes.
buggies on her, right? So, and that it's like, I think I tried, as I always do with my children, I try to put myself in their place. Like I would try to put myself in, why is this 3-year-old so frustrated that the toy, that person has a toy? Well, put yourself in there, try to be empathetic, remember what it's like, and then, or imagine yourself and you're seeing something because your brain, it's like in your dreams you have weird stuff in your dreams. I'm imagining, I'm not a scientist, I'm imagining that part of your brain is overactive when you have Parkinson's, so it's happening while you're awake. That's my theory. Probably
Yeah.
wrong, folks, don't listen to
Well,
me, but it
and
helps me understand it. And I say, so she obviously is seeing it, no doubt
right.
about it. It may not be real, but it's real to her. So how do
Yeah.
we deal with that? And if it's so disturbing for her, yes, medicine is good when you use it correctly.
Right.
We should give her something to help her not have those, but not
Yeah.
put her out.
Yeah. 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 Right. Right. Yeah. It's and this is the conundrum within the conundrums is how do you manage that? Because yeah, they're seeing things. And also, by the way, all of these folks uh, always have moments of lucidity. It shrinks and it gets smaller and shorter, but they know like, oh God, I'm in this place until I die. And by the way, when they don't have that full, if this is a good one, this is a good one. If your loved one has to go to the hospital and you're like, okay, well, just let me know how she does. Would you do that to a 3-year-old, or
Yeah,
would you go
again,
there?
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I use those examples all the time.
yeah,
You can't not. I mean, there was a turning point, a pivotal point in my relationship with my mom where I became mommy.
yeah,
And that's okay. And actually, I remembered, I've retold when it happened. I won't do it here, but I actually a very good feeling.
Yeah,
I surrendered to it, and I had that feeling of so much love for her and so much care that she
yeah,
was now vulnerable, and I
yeah,
was the strong one, and I was the
yeah.
big girl, and she was relying on me. I didn't have to tell her that. She still has her dignity, and I still called
Boy,
her mom, but I was mommy.
yeah, getting a great note from Barbara here. Barbara's a lifelong nurse, and she understands it, and like this, the soul that you have to do this kind of thing, to replace your mom's glasses over and over and over and over and over and over again, because that might be the one thing that does keep her kind of calm, and
Right,
so
Barbara? You're so right. I'm right about that. I mean, if you can't see, how frustrating is that?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thank you for acknowledging that, Barbara. You
Yeah,
know.
she knows. She knows. Yeah, and this is why it's so great that you made this movie, No Country for Old People, so we can understand. And of course, we're going to get mad at the corporations for taking this and making money and doing a half-ass job or less than a
Making it
half-ass
harder
job.
than it needs to be.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, and that's a big piece of what your movie is about. But also, it's a love story. And,
Yes.
and that's really ultimately what it is. And that's kind of why I chose to focus on this part of it. Everybody should definitely go watch it. It's going to be out on Amazon on August 1st. You can go watch it there, then probably on the other the Tubi and everything else. But just go watch it so you can have an understanding of what a normal, right? This is very normal what Susie and her family went through. It's unfortunate, but it's normal. And so how do you deal with this? And how do you cope with the shame that you feel and all these other things? And by the way, you just said the most important thing, the whole thing. As you get older, your dignity is stripped away.
Yes.
And there's a thing that like the caregivers walk into the room. Now look, they got corporate rules and they got to protect themselves, but I'm always, and even if it's around the corner, I'll go and I'll say her name. Hey, are you here? Just because you wouldn't,
Yes.
you wouldn't just. I would be pissed if someone came storming into my room like I'm beaten off right now. God damn it, I got one time. You have no idea when anyone's going to come into your room, and it strips away all of your dignity and your
All of your
privacy.
dignity. And and we need to learn how to deal with all these different kinds of things, maladies,
Right,
like whatever, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. I learned that when I walked in my mom's room, I didn't make her guess who I was, and I didn't
right,
care if she didn't know. I'd go in and say, "Hi, Mom, it's Susie. It's your daughter.
mhm,
Your
right,
favorite daughter's here." And then
yeah,
she would light up because then she didn't have to think about it. I gave her the
right,
answer.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then
That's a big thing. That's
she would
big.
look at me and go, "I love you," and she meant it.
Yeah.
She meant it, and that was the gift. Whenever she would say that,
That confusion thing, if you can take that away, and they're always trying to prove to us that they're better than they are, and just like little kids do, like they'll throw a little
um,
lie and everything. Yeah, and so they'll say, "Oh yeah, I talked to him the other day," and you're like, "No, they didn't," but it
sure,
doesn't matter. Like, let them have the win because they
a
don't have that
hundred
many wins
percent,
left.
100%. And also think about anybody with a physical malady. If they, if someone can't is a paraplegic, and you say,
Yeah,
"Come on, you got legs, walk."
yeah,
Ugh, so
yeah,
frustrating. He can't walk. Like I have to take him to the bathroom. Why can't you just walk? You have
yeah,
legs. We get why he can't walk. Something
yeah,
disconnected from his brain to the legs, right? We get
yeah,
we get that idea. It's tangible.
yeah,
We
yeah.
don't understand. For some reason, we can't wrap our head around the fact that cognitive disability is very much similar. That there are certain things that they can't do, but that doesn't mean they're not there.
Yeah, yeah. I have to think about like if I lost 10% of my mental capacity, would I even know what was real anymore? There are so many times during the day where I'll look to my special someone and I'll say, "Did I say this out loud or did I just think this? And do you know this?" And then that person will be like, "Oh, you said that or you did," because it's hard to keep track of everything. If you lost that by 5 or 10%, you're going to lose a lot of your ability to keep track of what has happened, what isn't happening, what's real. And if your dreams are these chaotic, crazy, scary dreams, oh my gosh, the world gets to be a very scary
And if
place.
you didn't have your significant other to keep you in check, so that you could go,
Yeah,
"Hey, did I just say that, or was I saying that out loud?" What if you didn't have that? Who are you going to
yeah,
ask?
yeah,
Who are you going to ask?
yeah. Oh, I mean, look, if you're by yourself in a facility, you don't get to ask anybody really, you
Nobody.
know, and so your reality becomes whatever you can process,
You are. Think about all those people. What do we do to prisoners who act out, who are awful? who do things, we put them in solitary confinement because
Yep,
it's the
isolation.
worst thing we can do to anybody. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are hundreds of thousands of people in solitary confinement that don't deserve it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an institutional answer to a problem that requires compassion and capacity that they lack, you know. And even the best ones, just you can't have enough capacity because we don't have a system set up where it's like everything's taken
Supporting
care
it.
of.
We're not
Yeah,
supporting it. We're not. The
yeah,
infrastructure is a big fat mess.
yeah.
But guys, listen, I don't want to leave everybody in a bad place because
Let's
there is
fix it.
hope. Because honestly, you know, we are launching a movement called Roar, and I'm asking for people to join us and be Roariers for
Okay.
quality, you know, long-term care, which we can have. It stands for respect, oversight, advocacy, and reform. And you know, nothing that we've had issues with, we haven't been able to create change as a collective. You know, whether
Mhm.
it's the LGBTQ community, whether it's the Me Too movement, you know, or you know, Black Lives Matter, or whatever the case may be, it takes a collective of people to create that change. We have that power to do that as a collective, as constituents. That is
Yeah.
our currency to fight against, you know, the big dollar. So we have that. That's the one thing we have. So don't feel like we are helpless. We're not.
I'm
It's
gonna
just
put
work.
this link up for as an article about you and Roar. I'm going to put this in here just for anybody who wants to look into this. You guys know how to use the internet, but just I'll throw this in here so you can see it. It'll be in the comments. I'm sorry, Susie. Please continue.
No, you can go to nocountryforoldpeople.com too. You
Oh,
have nogirlmedia.com, which has my no country for old people page. But if you go to nocountryforoldpeople.com, there's also the Roar page, and you can join and find out more about it. And you know, we are just launching it, and we want, because we didn't want to leave people in a state of like, oh, this is, you know, there's
yeah,
nothing we can do. It's horrible, yucky, awful. No, we have the power. It's not one and done. This change takes time. But listen, the way that the way that the business model has been, the way it is now, has been that way for over 50 years. And traditional advocacy, and there's been a lot of it, hasn't made a dent
yeah, yeah,
because there's a huge lobby, folks, that are keeping it the way it is and are happy
yeah,
to do that. So that's why we as human beings need to come back together and, you know, get out and use our big loud voices and say, we're sick of this, and no, and
yeah,
you have our money and you're basically stealing our money. That's called fraud. That's
yeah,
fraud. That's criminal, what they're
yeah,
doing. That's your
yeah.
money, everybody. You paid into it.
And you don't see people going to jail for it ever in that community. You never see anybody held accountable
Because there's no
for carrying.
transparency.
Yeah, no, of course, of
There's no
course, of course.
transparency.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all, I'll throw one more little sneaky thing you guys can do. If you're short on money and your parent, your loved one, whoever it is not going to be able to afford next month's thing, you don't have to leave. You just stay. And you force that corporation go through the process to get you out of there. And they may never do it. They'll take the hit. It's easier because I'm
Cost of
telling
doing
you,
business. Cost of
that's the
doing
cost of doing business, right? Now, look, maybe that won't work in every facility, but that's worth a try to say, hey, listen, we can't afford the $8,000 this month. She's out of money because the state facilities are worse. And so just let them stay there and just be like, yeah, we'll get you. There's a check coming. Don't worry about it.
don't
and
listen. Yeah,
and
play their
they're forced to you force their hand is what happens.
yeah, yeah. I didn't say it, he did, but I
I love it. All right, I want to wrap things. Anything else you want to cover? I put the link for Roar up there. Everybody can go down to the movie link right there. You guys know
great,
what to
thank
do with
you.
this stuff. You really will learn a lot by watching the movie, and it is
Please
beautiful. It
do,
is
and
really a
please
love
share
story.
it, everybody. It's so important. And if you can, like, even just tune in or tune in. It's like, look how old I am. Tune in
Tune
for the
in.
next time. Yeah. So go into your streamer, go to Amazon, you know, get it and get our numbers up. Listen, I just want to say, like, documentaries are not money makers at all. They're change makers at best. And that's all I want to do is make change. And if I can put those algorithms up and get Amazon to go, oh, this is kind of popular, we're going to push it out now. I really want them to push it out because I want everyone to see this, because I can't do this by myself.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
change it by myself. I need everybody.
All right, everybody, you heard from her. I'm going to have probably another show tomorrow afternoon, actually. So I'll see you all then. Susie, I'll say goodbye to you in a second off
All
mic.
right.
The rest of you, I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.